Welcome back guys, Strafe here. This is episode 9 of the beginner series. So it's going to be a May overview for all the units and EX plus weapons. Format's going to be a little bit different this time. I'll be touching on the units and my approach to this month in particular. So starting off, we have Awakening Wave, the final batch which just came out last night. Lightning and Hope just got realized with their EX plus. Both of them I ranked really high. I think they're both high priority units. Hope is an amazing support unit. He can heal your party with his EX ability, and he reduces brave damage taken from everything, whether it's physical or magic attacks. He gives your party 3 buffs, so you do have to watch out for team compositions, but he can do a lot of things. And he does good damage as well with his HP plus, which does splash damage, and his EX, which has 100% AoE damage. The only thing he's really missing is a brave regen ability, like Penelo would have that, or a constant HP regen. That's the only flaw that Hope really has. But one of the main key factors that he has is the buff extension. So he pairs really well with units like 8 and Edge, for instance. If you guys have those units built up, he will be an excellent partner for them. Now in terms of Lightning, she is a really good damage dealer. In terms of her realization, she gets all these good potencies. She gets a really heavy hitting EX attack. Her brave hits stay the same though because she doesn't get another rework here, but she has good brave regen. If you pair her with certain supports like Rosa right now, or coming up next month with Lena, her regen is going to be through the roof, and that's how you can mitigate the limited brave hits. But her potencies are crazy. I've been testing her out a little bit, and Lightning is going to be hitting cap damage most of the time, even with her HP plus variants. So that's a good selling point of Lightning in terms of how she compares to other damage dealers. And she gets a lot of free turns, so you guys can manipulate breaks, you get free turns or free regen. So she's very versatile. She's not limited to single target fights. She shines in multi-targets too because you get more breaks. So she's kind of like King in that sense, where they are good against one target, but they don't mind doing multi-target fights at all. Okay, moving on, we have Porom and Yang. I think Porom is a really strong support as well. Her main selling point is reducing HP damage taken from your party and boosting your overall HP. She works really well in terms of, survivability and stuff like that, but the only thing I'm concerned about is the buff duration on her EX. I believe it's still 2 turns. It may be increased with her EX plus, but she's rather defensive. She doesn't shave at all with her skills. So similar to Selfie, no shaving at all, very defensive. At least Hope can do some shaving if you're in a bind. But Porom does give some bravery gain overflow, so she has some utility, and her auras are very powerful. Very strong attack auras, max brave auras. Competitive against Rosa, for instance. But I would rate Porom more towards the middle side. She's kind of not necessary, but again, she's kind of like niche because of her HP damage reduction. Not always going to need that because you could just put more offense on the team and just, handle bosses that way. You don't have to be super defensive. So that's my opinion on Porom. As for Yang, he is pretty good splash AoE damage dealer. But for me, I wouldn't go for Yang unless you really enjoyed his character or enjoy his playstyle, because to me, I don't think he would be like a vital character for any type of content. And he's just a damage dealer. He doesn't offer any kind of utility to the party. So that's my opinion on Yang. So next up we have Caius and Noel. So Noel comes back. He doesn't get another rework. He gets realization only, and it doesn't really add too much to Noel's kit. He still plays the same, and Fear Siphon still costs a turn. And he would be better if Fear Siphon was a free turn, but you could be Fear Siphoning to get your free ability use, but it still costs a turn, and that to me kind of holds him back. But he does ignore defense with the EX ability, so he's pretty nice, and he can re-break targets with Tempest Strike. So I think he's a decent damage dealer, but again, not a vital character by any means. As for Caius, I've heard his EX is really slow, so you're going to be using a lot of HP plus with Caius. He does put a lot of debuffs on the enemies, but they're not super potent debuffs where it actually would matter and turn the tide of battle. The main one is Doom debuff, where it instantly breaks the target after the debuff wears off. But again, it's not super necessary. We have units that can shave pretty easily. Even X-Def can shave all the time. So you're not going to need Caius specifically. And I'm not a fan of slow charging EX abilities like after Agrius. You're using a lot of HP pluses and it just takes forever to use the EX charge. So to me, Caius is not really a great unit to invest in. But again, if he's your favorite villain or something like that, then by all means, go ahead. Okay, next up we have Diabolos banner with Aerith and Waka. So let's start off with Aerith. I think Aerith brings a lot to her team. As a support unit, she does everything in terms of auras and healing and buffs. She even buffs your Eye Brave, which not many units do. Not all supports buff Eye Brave. The only thing about Aerith I would say is that she's kind of, again, not necessary, but she's sort of like a win more unit where she doesn't really mitigate damage to your party. No debuffs, no protection like Hope would do, you know? So she's kind of like a win more unit. She gives you 30% more overflow for everybody in the party. But not every unit can benefit from her overflow aura because you need specific skills or potencies to reach that. Like Twins would be the best example of a unit that would always benefit from her overflow aura. But in most cases, you're not going to really hit that threshold all the time. Someone like Vayne or Lightning, they're pretty much never going to hit that overflow cap. So if you're going to use Aerith, she would be more niche in my opinion. You need specific teammates and units. So I would say Yuri and Twins, pretty much AoE units that will leak bravery. Those are the units that you want to pair with Aerith. Now as for Waka, he gets buffs based on chance. He can give pretty good auras to your party. They're pretty competitive in terms of, you know, comparing the potencies to other support units. So he does give attack max brave aura. The only thing that I'm concerned about is his EX ability. The potency seems pretty low, so his damage can fall off pretty fast. The skill 1 is just 4 hits and it doesn't have any splash damage, and the skill 2 I don't think has any brave hit. It's just a battery gain. So I think Waka is kind of niche as well. He doesn't heal your party, but he gives auras, so he would function as a damage dealer with auras pretty much. But I would put him as a secondary damage dealer. I don't think he would do too much damage to be your main primary damage dealer. Okay, moving on, we have Cinque and Snow. And Cinque functions as a damage dealer. She does get a rework, she gets EX+. Her damage is pretty good. She has limited hit count still, but she gets pretty good brave regen per turn based on max bravery. And the EX+ now does an AoE attack that batteries your party and it delays the enemies. So she can be pretty helpful, but again, it's a really slow recast. I believe she gets the recast speed up with one of the upgrades, so it does help her out, but again, she has low turn action. Like one of her turns, she falls back into turn order, and I don't think that's fixed with her rework. So that's something to keep in mind where Cinque won't be acting too much and she'll be falling back into turn order a lot. But in terms of damage, she'll be pretty average, I would say, nothing too spectacular. As for Snow, he's a pretty good tank. I would definitely go for him if you guys missed out on Galuf, which just went away. If you don't have Zac for any reason, definitely pick up Snow. He may not be the most damaging tank, but he helps your party. You know, he directs all attacks to himself, but he also reduces the HP damage taken from your party. So Snow is a great addition. And then as for the character here, we have Jack coming up with Ramza. So Jack is a really strong damage dealing unit. He does AoE damage, but he also jumps turns. Similar to Noctis, he jumps right before the enemy and then he goes again. And he also gets a free ability after you use the EX. The gimmick for him is he will be having evasion up pretty much all the time. And then he sacrifices HP with his EX ability to do damage. So you're going to be at like 1 HP, but then he gains lifesteal and he's going to be doing more damage over time. But in terms of output, he does a lot of damage, especially with AoE. So he's one of the stronger picks for the month if you're lacking damage dealers. If you only have Lightning as your damage dealer, I would say Jack is a great pickup as well. As for Ramza, a lot of people refer to Ramza as a support, a very strong support, and to me he kind of functions as a secondary damage dealer. He has buffs and auras, but he doesn't have healing, which means you're going to need to add a healer to your team, whether that's a tank or whether that's, you know, a pure support unit like Porom or Hope or Penelo. So that's the drawback with Ramza. I mean, there's also third slots, hybrids, Pat and Cecil and Agrius can heal and do damage, but that's the only thing with Ramza where, you know, he's not the best support unit because he doesn't heal. He's lacking that critical role of a healer, but he gets a lot of free turns. In terms of the realization, even at just realize 0-3, he gets a AoE triple break debuff inflicted on all enemies. He gets 50% splash damage and he gains battery before he does the triple break attack. So for me, I'm thinking to leave Ramza at just 0-3 because he gains so much from that. You're gonna lose out on a lot of longevity though. So if you're planning to use them in regular chaos events, I would definitely invest more. At 2-3, he starts with 1 stack of Shout, and he needs that for longevity. But if you're just looking in terms of which units I need to clear content, I don't think Ramza is going to be that key of a unit. The only thing he really helps out with is turn count. So things like Trey Chaos at 75 turns, you could plug in Ramza, and because he takes so many free abilities, you know, your team is going to be hitting that score mark much easier. But for me, I'm just going to plan to leave him in one stage of entropy, so that's why I'm going to leave him with a book, and that's about it. Now let's head into the May rankings, and I'll touch upon what I talked about during the presentation. So again, Hope and Lightning I rank as high priority. Hope is a very strong support, he does everything for your party. The only thing he's a little bit lacking on is healing. He doesn't have a constant Brave regen, he's kind of like Warrior of Light where he only heals with the EX ability. But he does everything for your team. He minimizes damage, he also does decent damage himself. Lightning is a very strong damage dealer. Her damage output is kind of not like super high, it's comparable to Vayne even. But in terms of her versatility, it's very strong. She can pretty much infinitely delay bosses. She shines in any kind of environment, whether it's single target or whether it's multiple enemies. You know, she can take advantage of more breaks. So she doesn't mind if there's 2 or 3 enemies on the field. You can build around Lightning pretty well with a regen, Ivory based team. You have units like Rosa, or you're going to build someone like Lena coming up next month. Then Lightning is going to be a very strong pick, and she has very high potencies, so she's going to be breaking enemies all the time. As for middle priority, we have Snow, Ramza, Porom, and Jack. These units are really going to help you clear out certain roles very well. Snow is a very good tank. He can help mitigate damage for your team if you're lacking Galuf, if you're lacking Zac. Snow is going to be a great pickup. He doesn't dish out the most damage, but again, his role as the tank is very strong. As for Ramza and Jack, they're pretty good in terms of damage output, and that's why I rank them here. If you're lacking damage and you're struggling to make turns and score, then these 2 units are definitely going to help you guys out. Porom is a very strong defensive support, help you guys survive as well. So as for support role, she does everything, healing, auras, so I ranked her at middle priority. And then everybody else is on low, so definitely you guys can invest in them if you like their playstyle, if these are your favorite units. One thing I will mention, I'll probably get some hate here, is Shadow and Aerith are both in the low tier and not middle. I moved Shadow down from middle to low this month because after doing more research on Shadow, I noticed his potencies are kind of low, even though he does ignore defense. He does get low potencies on his attacks, so that's why I ranked him low, and his evade is kind of low chance too, 70%, but if you get hit once, you're kind of dead because it could have been a Brave and HP attack and that would wipe you out. So I've been hearing stories about people struggling already with Shadow's evasion chance, so that's why I rank him as low this time. As for Aerith, like I said, she's kind of a win more unit. Similar to Ramza, they're both kind of like win more units. But at least Ramza has the debuff on the enemies, so he does have some mitigation for your team. And I do like that Ramza gives pretty much the complete package. The only thing he's missing is the healing. For Aerith, she's missing mitigation. She herself has last stand, but your team's going to be eating the Brave and HP attacks, you know, full strength. And in terms of her auras, they're average and nothing like super competitive. She does have cursed arts too. But again, the only thing is the overflow aura is the big thing to take advantage of, and I don't think many units can take advantage of that, especially with our current meta. Units like Vayne, Leo, Lightning, they're not really going to benefit too much from her overflow aura. Even though she does battery the team significant amount, I don't think she's going to be a key player in Chaos events, and you guys could probably pass on her in terms of a support unit. And that's it for what I wanted to highlight for May. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if it was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.